Today we're going to light this scene from scratch. We're going to use this shot from Doonet's reference and our version will look like this. To get started, download this scene from the link in the description below. Shift A and select camera. Let's go like this and hit Option Command 0 or Control Alt 0 if you're on Windows. Let's change your focal length to 30 and center it on the x-axis and zero out these values. Let's move the camera up with GZ and back with GZZ like this. Move it up a bit. Perfect. Now let's zero out this rotation as well and we're good to go. Let's select the shaded view and as you can see we have some ambient lighting. Let's get rid of that by zeroing out the strength and as you can see it's pitch black. Now let's create these two windows over here. Shift A and create a plane RX90 and RZ 80 degrees so it faces the cutout. Let's go to it and move it back with G and X a bit more, scale it up with S, and this looks good. Now we need to mirror it to the other side. For that we're going to click the modifiers tab and search for mirror, select the ground as the mirror point, and as you can see we have the same plane on the other side. Let's hit 0 to go to the viewport and move to the right like this, and let's select a material for it. Click this and select emission, and let's set 20 for the strength, and for the color I'm going to use a blue tint like this one. Let's see how that one looks, and as you can see we already have some nice lighting coming from the sides, but we are not nearly finished. We're going to need some lighting that is being cast from this portion. As you can see we have some reflections on the ground. We're going to replicate that with an area light, so hit Shift A and select light area and up, move it back with G and Y. Let's scale it a bit with S, and for the strength we're going to use 100 and set the same color that we used before. Let's see how that one looks. For my taste it's a bit too bright, so let's put 40 in it or even 30, and I think this looks quite okay. Next we're going to replicate this highlight on the arc as well as the light that is coming from the other side of the room. Let's start with the spotlight. Shift A and select spot, move it a bit back and into here. Let's move it up here and here, and let's rotate it and aim it at this point with double R. Increase the blend. Let's rotate it up, go into camera view, and let's see how that one looks. We need to increase the strength to 100, move it in a bit and aim it up again and move it down. Let's see how that looks. Let's rotate it a bit, move it in, set the same color that we used before, and I think this looks good. Let's create the other light from this side. Shift A and select area light, move it here and back, rotate it like this and scale it up. Again set the same color here and let's see how it looks. We need to keep increasing the strength. I think that's too much. Let's go down to 500, still too much. Move it back a bit. Let's scale it down a bit. Let's organize our outliner by clicking this area light, holding down Shift and clicking the other light, and hold down Command and click the spotlight and press M and move it to a new collection. I already have one, but you can create a new one by clicking here. Let's move it into lights, and likewise the camera is going to go into the camera collection. We need a focal point for the camera, so Shift A and select an empty plane axis. Let's go into the solid view, GX, move it into the center and move it back. So this is where camera is going to focus on. Let's rename it by hitting F2 and writing something like focus. M and select the camera. Let's go into our camera and select depth of field and select this focus object as our focus point. Let's go back, and you're not going to notice much of a difference, but it's still nice to have some depth of field. I think the area light that is over here is a bit too much, so let's lower the intensity, something like 10. Yeah, I think this is much better. Next, if you look close enough, you're going to see that we have some light that is illuminating the center part over here, like this wall or these pillars. So let's try to replicate that as well, because our scene as of right now is a bit too dark. We're going to create a new area light and put it over here and rotate it up this time with Y and 180, and let's rotate it to the front with R and X like this. Let's increase the intensity to 200. That's a bit too much. Let's lower it to 30 and set the same color again, and now our scene is not as dark as it was before. Let's move it back into the lights collection, and lastly we're going to need fog, so Shift A and select mesh cube. Let's go into the solid view. For this we're going to place the cube in the center and scale it up like this. Move it to the center, scale it on the z-axis, go over here and select viewport display as bounce, so we don't have the mesh in our viewport. For the material we're going to click new, we're going to go to the shading tab, delete the printable BSDF with X, drag from the volume socket and select volume scatter. For the density we're going to import 0.05 and let's see how it looks. I think it's a bit too much, mainly because we have the light in the center. So let's decrease the density to something like 0.02. Let's rename it to fog and move those two into the environment. Next, go into the output tab and put 200% for the resolution scale and hit F12 to render. After you've finished rendering, hit Option S or Control S if you're on Windows to save your render in a location you'd like. Open up DaVinci Resolve so we can start color grading it, and make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out any new episodes. Click Untitled Project and drag in your render. Drag it into the timeline. Next, we're going to use the original shot as reference. Again, link is in the description. Let's drag in the reference onto the timeline. Click the color tab and select this. Click Gallery. Right click and grab still. Click this PNG and click this compare button over here. Now we can get rid of these two buttons, and now we're going to have a side-to-side comparison of these two shots. First, I'm going to introduce some contrast by playing around with the curve over here. So push it down and push this one up. Next, I'm going to add even more contrast by hitting Option S and increasing the gain whilst decreasing the gamma. If you look closer, you're going to see that we've blown out the highlights. So let's dial this one back by creating a new serial node and selecting log. And for the highlights, let's drag this down. Next, we're going to add some glow and we're going to create two passes of it. The first one is going to be bigger than the other one. Search for glow, drag it on it and decrease the threshold a bit and decrease the gain. For the color, we're going to select the same bluish color like this and create a second glow. And for this one, we're going to reduce the spread and reduce the gain. And again, select a bluish tint like this, before, after. Next, we're going to apply a creative look to match the colors of this shot. For the gamma, I'm going to push it a bit towards red and the gain towards some teal or perhaps green a bit. I think this glow is a bit too much, so let's dial it down a bit. Next, we're going to add halation. Drag it onto this, increase the threshold and decrease the strength. Next, we're going to add some chromatic aberration and reduce the cyan/red scale. Don't overdo it, so we're going to put something like -0.2. This looks good. Next, we're going to add some radial blur because we want to soften our edges a bit. Search for radial blur, and for the strength, we're going to dial it down to something like 0.23. Next, we're going to add some light rays. Let's go out of this comparison view, decrease the threshold and the brightness. We're going to reduce the saturation in the highlights and the shadows. So for that, we're going to create a new node, go over here where it says Luma versus saturation and pick the brightest points like this and drag it down. Make sure to create a curve shape, and we're going to do the same for the darkest point. Drag it down. This is before, this is after. Next, we're going to create a custom vignette. So select this mask button and select the circle shape. Zoom out a bit and create an oval shape. Increase the feather and invert it. Decrease the gain. Let's turn off the HUD. I think it's a bit too much, so let's increase the gain. This looks good. Next, we're going to add some lens blur to soften our image even more. Drag it on it and decrease the size to 1. Right now you can't see it. Let's increase it a bit. This helps to get rid of this digital look that we usually have when we have digital images. Let's bring back the comparison viewer, and I think we still have a lack of contrast. So for the second node, let's increase the contrast a bit more. I think 1.1 is good. And lastly, let's create a grain node. Select 35, and for the opacity, we're going to drag it up. Let's select grain only. Never mind, let's choose 16 millimeters. Yeah, I think that's better. And YouTube compression is going to get rid of this, but you should be able to see some grain over here. And I think we are done. This is before and this is after. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and see you in the next video.